the sound came first. A sharp, tearing sound, the unmistakable rip of thick paper splitting under pressure. Then came the silence. Hundreds of passengers froze, the soft murmur of airport chatter dying mid-sentence. In the middle of Gate 14, beneath the sterile glow of fluorescent light, a boy no older than 16 stood trembling, his passport in shredded pieces on the floor. His name was Noah Adeyemi, a quiet, bright kid from Lagos, traveling alone for the very first time. His mother had sold her car to afford his ticket, a ticket to a future she could only dream of. He was supposed to fly to Canada for a youth innovation summit, a golden opportunity. And now, a stranger in uniform had just torn his dream in two. "Ma'am, please," his voice cracked, but the woman in the navy blue blazer didn't flinch. Her name tag read, C. Whitmore, Gate Supervisor. Her jaw was clenched, her lips thin, eyes sharp and cold. "You can't fly with a fake document," she said flatly, holding what was left of Noah's passport like a piece of trash. "It's not fake," he whispered, eyes darting, desperate for someone, anyone, to help. Phones began to rise. Passengers started recording. The story had already begun. Noah's world had always been about quiet struggle. His father left when he was 8. His mother, a nurse, raised him on double shifts. He was brilliant, soft-spoken, and the kind of kid who always said, "Thank you." He'd stayed up every night reading about the world beyond, about invention, technology, and hope. This trip was more than a flight. It was escape. Ms. Whitmore, on the other hand, had seen thousands of faces pass through her gate. Years of fatigue and bitterness had hardened her. But today she was restless. A complaint from her manager, a broken coffee machine, a delay she'd have to explain later. And now, this boy. Nervous, dark-skinned, holding a slightly worn passport. Something in her decided, problem. Behind her, Marcus, another gate staffer, whispered nervously, "Carla, maybe just call immigration to verify?" She ignored him. "Sir," she said to Noah sharply, "step aside. You're holding up the line." The boy hesitated. Passengers stared. A woman in a red coat whispered, "He looks terrified." A man in business class muttered, "Just another delay." Great. Then Noah did what he thought was right. He reached forward, pointing at the remnants of his passport on the counter. "Please, let me explain." And that's when she snapped. "Step aside," she said, pushing the shredded booklet off the counter. The pieces fluttered to the floor like dying leaves. Noah froze. Something inside him shattered too. Security arrived. 2 officers, tall, silent, emotionless. No one said a word as they walked him away. The crowd murmured. Cameras kept rolling. Behind the counter, Marcus looked down, guilt eating him alive. He had seen her lose her temper before, but never like this. Whitmore, however, didn't feel remorse. Not yet. She turned, adjusted her badge and muttered, "He shouldn't have argued." But as she looked around, she noticed the stares. Disgust. Disbelief. A little girl pointed at her and whispered to her father, "Daddy, why did she tear his book?" And for the first time, something flickered in her, a seed of fear. A gray room. No windows. Noah sat on a metal chair, his hands folded tight, his backpack on the floor. He kept replaying the moment in his head, the sound of the rip, the gasp, the silence. An immigration officer entered. Name: Noah Adeyemi. Purpose of travel? Conference. Youth Innovation Summit. The man sighed, flipping through his file. "Your document is damaged. Without a passport, we can't verify your identity. We'll need to contact your embassy." Noah looked up. But she tore it. "You can see the video." The officer raised a hand. "You'll have your chance to explain." Outside, chaos was brewing. The video had already hit social media. And by the time the clock struck 5 p.m., the hashtag #Gate14 incident was trending. Across the terminal, Marcus stood in the employee lounge, staring at his phone. The video had been viewed 80,000 times in under an hour. He watched his colleague's hand rip the passport in slow motion, saw Noah's stunned face, heard the silence that followed. Then a message popped up from an unknown number. You were there. Tell the truth. He froze. Meanwhile, in a small apartment across the ocean, Noah's mother, Mrs. Adeyemi, was just finishing her evening shift. She checked her phone, dozens of missed calls. Her heart sank before she even pressed play. By nightfall the terminal was humming again, but Gate 14 was no longer just a gate. It was a crime scene for the internet. Phones glowed across the concourse. Strangers whispered, replaying the clip. A young boy's face, a uniformed hand, the rip, the gasp. At the airline's operations office upstairs, a crisis meeting had already begun. Lock down internal comms, the manager barked. No staff statements. We wait for PR. Carla Whitmore sat in the corner, arms folded. Her badge was gone, replaced by a visitor's tag. It was procedure, she muttered. He was agitated. I thought. Her boss cut her off. You thought wrong, Carla. That boy's video is everywhere. Outside the glass wall, reporters were already gathering. In the detention room, Noah hadn't moved for hours. He stared at the cracked surface of his phone, battery 3%. A guard placed a tray of food in front of him. Noah pushed it away. I just want to call my mom. The guard sighed, softened. Give me the number. For the first time since the incident, a sliver of hope pierced the exhaustion. When his mother's voice came through the static, Noah finally broke. Mama, she tore it, she said it was fake. Silence on the line, then, don't cry, my son. We'll fix this. You hear me? We'll fix it. Her tone was steady, but her hands trembled so hard the phone almost slipped. By morning, Mrs. Adeyemi had done the impossible, contacted the Nigerian embassy, found a sympathetic attaché, and uploaded her own video plea. She spoke plainly, voice hoarse from the night shift. My son is being held at an airport overseas. His passport was destroyed by an employee. Please, help me bring him home. Within hours, the clip hit 1 million views. Journalists began calling the airline. Influencers stitched the video, demanding answers. Marcus hadn't slept. He kept seeing Noah's face. At 6 a.m., he opened his laptop and wrote a statement. Not to the airline, to the public. He described everything. The argument, the torn passport, the silence afterward. He hit send before he could change his mind. By noon, news anchors were quoting him. A fellow employee claims the boy's passport was valid and the supervisor acted out of personal bias. Carla's phone exploded with messages. She switched it off and stared at her reflection in the dark window. Personal bias, she whispered, the words tasting like poison. Noah was moved from detention to a holding lounge. A volunteer lawyer met him with a replacement document letter from the embassy. But bureaucracy is slow, and the airline's lawyers were quicker. They insisted he remain under observation until verification of authenticity. Outside, protesters gathered at the airport entrance. Placards read, "Justice for Noah." The crowd chanted his name. Inside, Whitmore was escorted to a back office. Her supervisor spoke quietly, "They're suspending you. Effective immediately." Carla's shoulders sagged. For the first time she said it out loud, "I shouldn't have done it." An investigative journalist named Lena Ortiz stepped into the story. She interviewed Marcus, security guards, even passengers from Gate 14. Then she requested the airport's CCTV. What she found turned the narrative inside out. A clear shot showing the moment Noah handed over his passport, calm, respectful, compliant. The footage made it undeniable. That evening, Lena's exposé aired live. In it she said, "This was not a procedural mistake. This was a moment of prejudice that destroyed a boy's dignity until the world decided to watch." Hashtags multiplied. Sponsors threatened the airline. Politicians tweeted statements. At dawn, an officer entered his holding room. "You're free to go, son." Noah blinked. "That's it. Your embassy handled it. And the airline wants to apologize." But the apology would not undo the nights lost or the fear burned into his chest. When he finally stepped outside, cameras flashed like lightning. He didn't smile. He just looked into one lens and said, "I still believe in good people." Carla retreated to her small apartment. Curtains drawn, TV off. Her career was gone, her face plastered on every news feed. 4 weeks she refused interviews, until one day she called Lena Ortiz herself. "I want to talk," she said. In the interview she didn't justify, she confessed. She spoke about fear, prejudice, exhaustion, and the moment she realized her small act of anger had ruined a child's dream. The interview didn't redeem her, but it did something else. It forced a conversation. Months later, Noah stood on stage in Toronto at the very summit he thought he'd missed. The organizers had flown him in again, this time as a keynote speaker. He spoke softly, confidently. "What happened to me could have happened to anyone. But every person who stood up, you turned pain into change." The hall rose in applause. Back home, his mother watched the live stream, tears in her eyes. Marcus watched too, smiling quietly. Even Carla, somewhere in a quiet town, saw the clip online. When Noah's final words echoed, "We rise by truth," she closed her eyes and whispered, "I'm sorry." The lights in the cavernous hall of Terminal 14 flickered like uneasy hearts. News crews had permission to roam the floor now. Entries were blocked off, interviews with stunned bystanders. Inside the glass-walled operations room of the airline, silence had been replaced by a steady hum of voices: crisis teams, legal advisors, public relations personnel. The name Noah Adeyemi was on every screen. Carla Whitmore's picture. The torn passport image. The trending hashtags. And one message blinking in red: internal investigation, start now. Carla sat behind a desk, head bowed, coffee gone cold. Her reflection in the monitor looked like a stranger: pale face, dark circles, shame sitting heavy. "Why did I do that?" she whispered to the empty room. Behind her, a muted broadcast played the original clip. The quiet carried a weight no uniform could ever bear. Noah had grown up with stories of his mother's sacrifices. She'd worked night shifts at the hospital, skipping meals, skipping sleep, just so he could finish high school with honors. He believed that once he landed in Canada he'd work in robotics and bring her back a house. This trip was more than travel, it was hope. Mrs. Adeyemi, though gentle of voice, had a fierce heart. When Noah left Lagos that morning, she'd pressed a tiny bracelet on his wrist, engraved, "Speak truth." She didn't know then how literal it would be. Marcus lay awake at 3 a.m., tossing the statement he'd posted. "Yes, I was there." He complied. "I saw the tears." He kept replaying the moment when he looked away, when he didn't stop Carla. His guilt gave birth to something: resolve. He would help them find more evidence. Carla had childhood memories, being overlooked, talked down to, always seen but seldom heard. Now she held power, and blew it. But underneath the frustration and bias lay something else: sadness for being unseen. Lena Ortiz's investigative piece dropped at 8 p.m. She revealed that Carla had a file, 2 written complaints, internal memos about customer conduct, and amply cautious screening, all vague but tied to minority travelers. The airline paused the file for review. Protesters at the terminal had grown louder. Placards now read, "You break one passport, you break many dreams." Noah's case suddenly became global. News anchors debated it: airport racism? Profiling? Who holds power in travel? The airline's stock wobbled. Shareholders demanded action. Carla's rights lawyer prepared a statement. She acted under policy. But somewhere a whisper grew. Which policy? It was Friday night. Terminal lights dimmed. Marcus got an anonymous email. "Look under the desk at gate 14. Hidden mic. You'll find more." He swallowed hard. He returned to gate 14 after hours, alone. Under the counter he found a tiny recording device. He hit record with his phone. From the device he retrieved an audio file. Carla's voice, after the incident, meeting with a supervisor. "We can't keep letting these passengers screw up our schedule." He looked scared. Next time he'll think twice. As Marcus listened, his hand trembled. He realized this wasn't about a single kid, it was systemic. The audio file saved. Marcus closed the gate door behind him. Cut to, the camera zooms out on the empty terminal. A single voice echoes. "This changes everything." It was Saturday morning when the world flipped. A whistleblower account posted Marcus's leaked recording. Airline staff mocks victim after assault incident. Within 30 minutes, the post had over 2 million views. By noon, #JusticeForNoah was trending in 15 countries. Bloggers, celebrities, and even politicians reposted his photo. A young man staring out an airplane window, face half in light, half in shadow. It became a symbol. Carla woke to hundreds of calls. She stared at her phone as the notifications scrolled faster than she could breathe. Fire her. Noah deserves justice. This is what power abuse looks like. Her name, once just another employee tag, had become poison. At the same time, Noah and Mrs. Adeyemi stood before a crowd of reporters outside the airline's office in Abuja. He didn't speak first, she did. My son was raised to respect people. He was raised to stay calm. But calm doesn't mean silent. Her words broke the morning stillness like thunder. Inside the airline boardroom, chaos reigned. Executives argued over legal exposure. The CEO, pale, tight-lipped, demanded answers. Who authorized Gate 14's protocols? Who deleted the footage from the first hour after the altercation? No one answered. Until Carla walked in. She looked exhausted, eyes red, voice cracked. You want to know who deleted it? She said. You did. Because you knew what it would show. The room fell silent. Someone tried to cut her off, but she continued, louder. That boy wasn't a threat. He was polite. Nervous maybe, but respectful. And I broke him. Her voice trembled. Because I thought power made me safe. The CEO's face hardened. You realize what you're admitting? Yes, she said. The truth. Outside, Noah watched the live feed on a public screen. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. The woman who humiliated him now confessing. Tears stung his eyes, but not from pity. From release. Marcus approached him quietly. You did this, Marcus said. Your calm forced the truth out. Noah shook his head. No, we did this. Every person who spoke when it was easier to stay quiet. He looked up at the sky above the terminal, planes cutting through clouds. One day, he whispered, I'll fly without fear. Behind them, protesters started singing softly, not angry now, but united. A chant of peace rising where there had once been tension. Later that week, the airline issued a public apology. Carla resigned. An independent inquiry began into profiling practices at international airports. Noah received a scholarship offer from a Canadian university, fully funded. On the night before his new flight, Mrs. Adeyemi handed him his old, damaged passport. Keep it, she said. Not as shame, but as memory. Proof that grace doesn't mean weakness. He smiled, placed it gently beside his new one and whispered, From Gate 14 to the world.